Hello, everyone, and welcome to another dynamic, fantastic week of talking about the league. It is your stuttering, stammering Mr. February himself, Sig, Commissioner of the LCUS and all-around ladies' man. I'm here today with a fantastic cast and crew. We do not follow the Disney crew policies, so they're allowed to show their faces this time. Uh, First, we have rap god extraordinaire, master caster of LCUS fame, Jeff. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm good, Sig. How you?
Fantastic, but better for you asking. And as always, the very talented Christy, also Mustache. Mustache, how you doing?
Good, good. Happy to be here.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. And two-time ADC for Northern Storm, WD fan. Fan, how are you feeling?
I'm good.
Well,
Gotta
fantastic.
say it. It's nice to be here with two of the three of you. I think make up the most attractive casters in all of the LCUS. So it's good to be here.
Well, that's mean to leave me out like that.
I was sitting
I
there
didn't
being like,
specify which two I was talking about. You took that assumption upon yourself.
Well, we had one fantastic week in the LCUS this past week. Let's break down the rankings for us, Mustache, if you don't mind.
Sure, looking at the rankings, we've got a tie. All three for first place. 9 Lives, Option 12, and Phoenix. Blitzkrieg hiding fourth place, I guess we'll call it, with 0 wins, 2 ties, 0 losses. Northern Storm behind them, and currently in last, White Wolf Gaming, but we still believe in them.
You can't stop believing. A famous philosopher said that. I can't put my finger on them, but I think they were nobility of some kind, maybe a queen. No. Eventually, folks, we'll get it all sorted out. I'm sorry if I'm so jabbered and all torn apart, folks. I have to tell you, this past week of games, I want to start off with our guest, and I want to talk about the set that was played by Northern Storm versus this Team Blitzkrieg. And probably one of the most interesting bot lanes. That's a repeat bot lane. This wasn't wholeheartedly innovative. Let's clarify that. I want to talk about Game 1 of Set 3 of this previous week's LCUS matches. WD fan, tell me about this
Yes.
Game 1. You had made some interesting picks in the bot lane. What was your choices?
Well, I think the consensus on our team was similar to what you hear from a lot of fans, that you see the same picks over and over again. So we were trying to think of something we could do that was new, that would work, because obviously those picks are common for a reason. Uh, we thought it would work better than it did, obviously. Uh, I don't know. I had a lot of fun playing it. I don't think we'll say that we'll see it again, but
Well,
we might see something else new.
I most assuredly want to get input from my colleagues here, but I do want to point out that one, as I'd said, this was a repeat. A prior team had ran this last split during the death of the ADC
Yes.
meta, so this was a repeat. I don't want to give you the wholehearted innovator award, but at 13 minutes, you still had a gold lead in lane, and it didn't change until Blitzkrieg adapted and moved to Nivea, which controlled the farm, and when you controlled the farm, you were able to control your guys' aggression a little bit more.
Hmm.
So let's go over to Jeff. Jeff, give me your expert analysis on this.
well, I mean, for me, it's I admire Northern Storm for trying something a little different. But I mean, obviously, we can all see it didn't work. It was essentially, I believe, the current Overwatch meta of picking just tanks and supports. But
Yeah.
what you saw early on that Spicy Hot Meme was doing great with the Rammus ganks. They got ahead, but not far enough ahead, and eventually just the lack of damage caught up with them. It was, I forget when it was, but it was around 20 minutes or so. Baconlicious got onto the enemy Sivir, and there was just no follow up whatsoever. And then kind of awkward that I'm gonna be calling it out, but in 2 consecutive fights, I believe WD Fan missed lasers completely, and that's like essentially all of Northern Storm's damage is coming off that luck. So when you don't catch the laser across multiple people, you're never gonna take anyone down, especially a Fed Darius.
I couldn't agree more. Now, I do have some issues. Overwatch already stole Crumbs and Monte Cristo, so Jeff, I can't. We really can't comment on that game for fear of you leaving. I don't know what we can do with that. So don't please avoid those references in the future. My heart couldn't take it. Now, Christy Mustache, what were your thoughts on that very interesting game 1?
I can only imagine what was going through Blitzkrieg's face, head, any part of their body as they saw that bot lane. Is terrifying to go into such a high engaged lane, and I don't know. I really liked it. It's different. I encourage that kind of play style, but it's a very high risk, high reward if you can't take it to the late game the way. And then, of course, with going into, I believe it was Darius, it can be pretty scary. They can hold him still for an extended period of time, but he tends to be a bit more of a bully.
Yeah, that a few choices in that comp really shut it down. So expert analysis, I couldn't agree more. Now we've put you through the ringer. It seems like you've lamented your own loss there, but game 2. Huge turnaround. You led the game in damage, pulling a victory for Northern Storm, ending the week 1-1. That put you at a 25k damage on Sivir at the end of that game. Hoo-wee, son. I don't think you can pay for those kinds of numbers. What was going through your mind game 2?
Well, really, when we went into game 2, we just said, okay, let's go back to what worked the first week against Gale Force. We kind of lost the first game, went into the second game, and we did the same thing. We lost pretty bad and then stomped. So we said, okay, let's just give up this fun idea and just win. Because if you go 1-1 and get that point, you're not out of the league yet. You can still make the playoffs, but going 0-2 hurts a lot more.
Well, I'm glad you were able to sacrifice fun and well-being so that you could pull away a victory. That's what we want all our players to do, so everybody listening, take note. Now, before I pass it on to the true experts, I do want to point out Fat Jackalope did 22k damage that day, that game with Malzahar. So that's cranking it out. That's good roams. It's a solid laning phase. He's showing his tenacity. So big hypes to him. Big ups. Christy, let's start with you. I must ask you, what exactly happened in that game?
You're speaking on game 2?
Game 2, yes.
I think the bot lane was able to carry in a lot of ways. It was a very different team comp, more traditional, you might say. So they were able to take advantage of that, and I think a big part of Blitzkrieg's team is getting the top/jungle rolling, and they weren't able to do it that game. And so they ended up falling behind and not being able to catch the rhythm again. I don't know if they just got hot-headed from winning the first battle and outplayed the second game. It's hard to say.
I agree with a lot of those points. Jeff, throw it on over to you.
Yeah, well, I called out WD Fan for the lasers in game 1, but as you already alluded to, impeccable performance in game 2, 9-0 and 14. Not to just skate over that, but I was also very impressed by the Thresh play from Chaosic. I thought that he was landing a lot of clutch hooks, aggressive flash plays, had a nice lantern gank with Spicy Hot Meme early game 2 that I think really got the snowball rolling down there. Overall, it was just, for the most part, one-way traffic for Northern Storm. There was really, I believe, one misstep near the top lane. They took a 3v3 skirmish that got 2 kills on Destelio Contos' Urgot, but that never really manifested itself into any bigger losses. And yeah, just a solid win.
I agree. Everyone performed well that second game. It was definitely more of a match of the standard Titans. You meta slaves out there probably enjoyed it, flipping normies. But we enjoyed it. Kyle, I hope we continue to see a lot of output from you, because if you keep putting out damage like that, they're gonna have to make the scales a little bigger. Already you were kind of making the numbers too small on my screen. So please be advised, we don't want to have to get glasses.
So play more standard 80 carries is what you're saying?
Yes, like Blitzcrank, Karthus, Swain, stuff that we usually see. Now let's talk real quick. Big ups to Jeff with them predicting chops. He called the game 1-1. The coin, sadly, I think we didn't provide enough offerings this past week. It was off by 1. It did give it 2-0 to Northern Storm. So now let's talk about set 2. We'll go in reverse order. Jeff, what did you think of set 2? White Wolf Gaming, 9 lives.
For me, the set was really showcasing Brandana's ability to carry. I don't think he really had an insane scoreline in game 1, but he was just such a huge threat that it was always priority for White Wolf to have to get onto him. I believe there was one fight where they did pick him off. They landed a glacial prison. But he just took so long to carry that by the end, Vampy the Vampire on Ash was able to just clean up that fight. So game 1 was just sort of a standard win, I think. There was excellent Scion play from Great Beard of Odin, which we're expecting at this point. And he really dominated the matchup against Foe Eden, who looked like one of the best top laners in the league in week 1. So that makes Odin's performance there even more impressive. Game 2, Brandana, again, I believe he got 2 solo kills on Primidon in the first 15 minutes or so. Vampy the Vampire had some good bullet times to carry some fights. Overall, yeah, I mean, just 9 lives, just very surprising to come out 2-0 after having been the only team to go 0-2 in week 1. But, when you look top to bottom, this team has good players in every role, and they've got a high ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
We saw it in week 2.
And definite performance out of Pointy Ball, going 5-1-8 in that game too. With such a rough play playing into Brandana there. On Ezreal, Pointy Ball, pick that up again. We liked seeing it. Mustache, your thoughts?
I really like the matchup, and I for the first game, you could see that they were able to get ahead, and you see like the strong CC picks, like the Amumu, Cassiopeia, and so it can be really hard to play into that. And it was actually really competitive for most of the game. They were very close. So it was surprising to see them go 0-2, but I'm glad to see it.
I feel you. It was definitely an emotional roller coaster. I'm glad we can all cope during this podcast together. Not to disrespect our guest. Do you have any thoughts that you'd like to add, Fan?
No, I was kind of surprised by how it ended up. I mean, I thought it was going to be a 1-1. I thought I had the teams pretty close. But like you guys said, I liked what Brandana did there in the mid lane. He looked good in both games. You'd look at the numbers and it might not show it, but you look at the game, and he was controlling the whole time. He was good.
Like game 2, he had 20k gold at the end of the match. So that's flexing pretty hard. I want to give player of the game personally to Huge. Huge went 9-1-12 in that game 1. Truly a force to be reckoned with. I don't think Huge could have been any bigger. So big ups there. Congratulations to both teams on showing your prowess, but we want to see more. Keep growing. You guys are doing phenomenal. Nobody guessed it right. Nobody got it right. So after this podcast, everybody back to the gym. 20 suicides. Then set 1, Team Phoenix and Option 12. Whoo-wee! That game 1, hyper emotional, semi-base race that had me sporting a semi, where Ace was pushing with Vigar into their fountain, pushing on to the Nexus, while almost the entirety of Team Phoenix, Team Option 12, were pushing on to the other Nexus. They recalled in time. Big ups to the support from Option 12 for landing them key bindings to make sure Ace didn't win the game. So rough, so rough. Mustache, tell me your thoughts.
I think that a lot of that first game was about making plays and catching people out, which I guess you could say about every game, but having a composition with like a Zach and then a Shen to back up if anybody ever gets in trouble is just so hard to get behind. But then they did it anyways, you know, they they came in, there was crazy ults from Ziggs like all game, and it was actually a really impressive game.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Nail biter. I'm still growing them back. Jeff, Ziggs, 7-1-11. Prowler, carrying with that Yi solo queue style. 14 gold lead at the end. What happened? What happened?
Well, we're just talking game one for now,
Just
right?
game one, because game two I think deserves its own little conversation.
Well, game one, I mean, we already talked about the base race. Unfortunate that Vygar just didn't have the damage to take down that Nexus. What we're seeing is sort of what I expected when you look at Option 12, which is, I said in the preseason, I think Prowler is going to be the most influential player in the league this year. And when you put someone on Master Yi, you know, that just puts them right into that role where it's, it's sink or swim with a champion like that. Got some kills early on. He died a few times, but what matters is getting a couple kills, just getting some gold on that Master Yi. And eventually he was just a terror. I was really impressed by Phoenix's team fighting. The 4v5 base defense while Ace was backdooring. And they also had a dive behind the bot lane turret pretty early on that they had like 4 members escape with barely any health. I think they got a 2-for-1 in that fight. So I think Phoenix showed themselves to be maybe the best team fighting team in the league. And it's the second time in 2 weeks that we've seen Phoenix just barely not be able to take down a Nexus. They did eventually win the game in against 9 Lives when it happened. But, you know, it makes me wonder. I think they're so good at team fighting. I would like to see them maybe not commit to those types of situations as much. After Ace went down trying to finish that Nexus, then Envy got caught out alone by Prowler. That was essentially where the game ended.
I agree, and I do want to see some growth. 2 weeks of roller coasters a bit much. Let's hop on the teacups next time. Phoenix, please. Now, there's so much that we could talk about in Game 2. This was a numbers haven. We could have a math field day looking at all statistics and numbers from Game 2. But I just want to ask our guests, and then we're going to move on. Fatley, ADC for Option 12, went 9, 1, and 7. Shaken Not Stirred, 7-0-8. If you were playing, which you're going to, into this Option 12 team, this Phoenix team, what do you do? How do you answer that? How do you, someone that has shown their prowess as a shot caller, work in the mid lane on Shaken Not Stirred, and then probably numbers-wise, the best jungler in league history, now on ADC. What's going through your mind right now? How do you prepare for this matchup, and what do you watch for in game?
Man, I don't know. I'm scared. That Option 12 team, they look pretty good. I had them as number 1 when I kind of did my pre-split rankings. And when you watch that game, or that set of games, they showed that they're the number 1 team. They looked good. Shaken Not Stirred, like you said, I played with him last split, and he's a beast. You give him the Victor, give him those top lane champions, and he can take them to mid lane, and he's comfortable, and he showed it. So, I don't know. I'm a little scared of both him and Fat Lee looked pretty darn good at AD carry, too. And everyone knows he's a good jungler, but he's that good of an AD carry, too, and he's something to watch out for.
Well, folks, get your picks and bans in order, because it's gonna take some work to beat this Option 12 squad. Well, folks, there is no patch this week, thanks, Rito. The patch is going to come out tomorrow, so hold your kids tight tonight when you go to bed. It very well may be the last day you're able to log in and play Lucian safely. Now, folks, we bring you this podcast every week, and it is so fun and fantastic. It's definitely not pain and misery trying to work with these two idiots and whatever guests we bring on. But I manage, and I manage because of your Twitch Prime subs. It keeps the lights on, and it lets us know you care. I only sacrifice my body, the immaculate, exquisite body that I have, for the benefit of this podcast. So please check that out. Throw us your Twitch Prime sub. You one free with every Amazon subscription. Amazon Prime subscription. So please, thank you for all our Twitch Prime subs, and thank you for those that are going to be subbing here soon. Let's talk about this upcoming week. Now, Set 1, Blitzkrieg into Phoenix. Set 2, Option 12 versus White Wolf Gaming. Set 3, Non-Lives versus Northern Storm. Jeff, pick one of those and tell me your thoughts. Which set do you want to talk about?
Let's see. I'm gonna talk about White Wolf versus Option 12. What I'm interested to see is what is White Wolf's identity going forward as a team. I think we have a lot of teams so far in the first 2 weeks where we've started to see where the resources are being allocated, where the counter picks are being held on to, who they're trying to get ahead. For White Wolf, it doesn't look that clear to me yet. So I'm interested to see. I mean, it's good maybe if you don't have one particular style that people can prepare for. On the other side, for Option 12, we've only seen them for 1 week. Obviously, they look really strong. I am going to predict a 2-0 here for Option 12. I'd like to see someone, whether it be White Wolf this week or someone in the future, really try to attack Prowler in the jungle. You see a lot of teams, you focus a particular lane, try to camp a particular player. It's not often the jungler that you do that against. Obviously, it's tougher to track them and things, but if you can shut down Prowler in the jungle, keep him from helping his lanes out, I think that's maybe the way you get to Option 12.
Good input. Most people pay for that level of coaching, Jeff. White Wolf Gaming, check your mailboxes. The invoice should be there by week's end. Christy, Mustache, Blitzkrieg versus Phoenix or Non-Lives versus Northern Storm. Which one's more hype?
Ooh, I would say, for me personally, Blitzkrieg Phoenix, because of me knowing everyone on Blitzkrieg, partially.
Well, tell me about it. What's going to happen? This Set 1.
Well, I'm afraid what's going to happen is top lane's going to get 4 bans targeted towards him. But, I mean, it's a strong strategy against their team. And it'll be interesting to see if they can get their jungler on Amumu again. They had it taken away the second game, and I think that's a big part of why they lost last week. So if they can get their players on the right champs, they can get things rolling. But Phoenix is a force to be reckoned with, so I'm also scared for them.
It's going to be a dynamic matchup, and I think that this could be a time when Blitzkrieg shines, as they've definitely shown potential play into these team comp-oriented teams. So, big ups. Thank you for your input. And that leaves me and our lovely guest, WD Fan. I think he was in the Summoners Herald's top list of sexiest ADCs for March. So, congratulations on that. WD Fan, Non-Lives, Northern Storm. Are you going to win?
I think it's going to be a 1-1, honestly.
Okay.
This week, is that?
I'm excited that you're being humble. So what's Non-Lives going to do to beat this Northern Storm team?
Wait. Yeah, you got this wrong, don't you?
Week 3 matchup, Northern Storm, Non-Lives?
No, we play White Wolf Gaming.
Uh-oh.
Nobody panic. I
was like, wait a second, that doesn't seem right.
This is where the color bars comes up on the TV. Technical difficulties. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Yep. So
okay.
Option 12 is playing 9 lives, and White Wolf Gaming versus Northern Storm. Blitzkrieg versus Phoenix.
Well,
is right.
You can see the quality, folks, in this podcast right now. Little behind the scenes tip. I don't proofread anything. And I'm barely able to read and write. So I must have went and changed diapers during this time, came back fresh, and forgot to check the schedule. So let's just cut to the chuff of it, shall we? WD fan, you're going into this option 12 squad. Quite
Yeah,
possibly
we'll be
the scariest team in the league right now.
So you're not going to see that game, though, because that'll be off stream. The option 12 game.
Well, that will be off stream, but I mean, we're still going to have results coming out of it.
Yes.
What's going to happen?
We're going to get 0-2.
Wow.
I believe in a thing called curses, so if I say we're going to go 2-0, we will lose badly. So I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to lose, because then if I curse it for them.
I like it.
That is some deep meta.
Next level mind games.
Oh, man. I'm sure Fat Lee's feeling very confident after that threat. You're going to beat me and you're going to like it. Well, folks, I'm really excited that we could have a fantastic podcast this week, and we could talk about these imaginary matchups that may or may not happen at some point during the continuum. This could be the matchups this week in the Bernstein Bears world. So we'll follow up and let you know on that one. Jeff, close us out. Any closing thoughts about this prior week's matchups? Anything you want to talk about? Because I messed up the podcast scheduling.
Well, I do think we're talking a lot about option 12 and how strong they looked in their first week. You have to remember that they were about 3 auto attacks away from losing that game 1. So I don't think that, they're not to the point where we should be anointing them. I think Phoenix still looks like their top team, and I'm excited to see 9 Lives moving forward, because I think that when you look top to bottom, they've got a very, very strong roster, a lot of diversity. And I think Brandon is the kind of guy who can, put the team on his back if he needs to and just carry a game or two. So for me, those are the strongest looking teams so far. And I mean, obviously it's early in the season, so we'll see.
Okay, thank you. I agree. Let's not put all our eggs in the one basket, even though I think this option 12 team might be hot enough just to incubate the basket before the chicken gets to it. Christy, thoughts?
I'm very excited. Looking forward to the upcoming games. I think they'll surprise us, whatever we say. I'm very, very excited to see what happens.
You should be, but don't get too much in a tizzy. We worry about your heart. Now, I can't, since we messed up the schedule, that's the Royal Week, so these two didn't do anything wrong. That's certainly on me. We did do coin guesses, so I'm just going to let the coin bless us all by saying, by reading you who it said would win. Whoever Blitzkrieg plays, please make sure you check your horoscope that day. It will be a loss. Blitzkrieg going to walk away with the win. The coin has also blessed 9 Lives in this whatever match they play into. So make sure you're checking your stars and reading your palms before that. And in the Book of the Coin, Chapter 3, Volume 2, whoever is playing White Wolf Gaming, this could be a 1-1 for you. So make sure that you're thanking everyone, and you might learn something new about yourself by the end of the day. Folks, Kyle, WD fan, any closing thoughts, anything that you'd like to contribute?
I didn't hear any mention of the 1v1s with Commissioner Sig yet.
Well, I was excited to talk about that till you went and pooped in my Wheaties, so it's not like I have a closing script or anything, but it's cool. The rest of the podcast was ruined anyway.
But why is that at the closing? That should have been at the beginning. That's how you should have led this podcast.
I saved the best for last. That's why I'm the last voice that you hear when this podcast ends. And I'm sure for a majority of our listeners, I'm the last voice you hear before you curl yourself into sleep. I'm thinking about you folks. Yeah.
I've never heard that one.
What kind of host we need?
I am the host with the most, and I tell you, this week I've mostly been messing up. But next week we're going to bring you a quality podcast where we do nothing but talk about the league. You can go to the LCUS Facebook page and sign up for a brand new round of 1v1s versus me, Commissioner Sig, where we go through life lessons. We might make some friends along the way. Just kidding. You're all scrubs. Get wrecked. This upcoming week, we are going to have a wonderful Top V bot coming out. And the LCUS will be live, as always, so please join us for that. We appreciate y'all on this train wreck, and I'm excited again to talk about the league next week. Thank you. Have a lovely day.